Thank you for browsing page 121. Today we're going to jump into the monstrous manual for a creature that actually appears in the original monster manual from 1977, but gets a little meteor write-up in the monstrous manual from second edition, and that creature is the Manticore. I love Manticores. They're so cool. Manticore, first one I encountered was in White Plume Mountain, Module S2. DM was running us through that, and I didn't know what the heck these things were, but they ended up being a tough fight for our group at the time. So they're any terrain, they are solitary, they're carnivores, low intelligence, 5 to 7, lawful evil, and then it says 1 to 4 appearing. Armor class 4, 6 plus 3 hit dice, number of attacks 3, 1 to 3, 1 to 3, 1 to 8 for damage. They have their tail spikes, no other special defenses or magic resistance. They are huge. Manticore is a true monster, with a leonine torso and legs, bat-like wings, and a man's head, a tail tipped with iron spikes, and an appetite for human flesh. It stands 6 feet at the shoulder and measures 15 feet in length. It has a 25-foot wingspan. Each section of the Manticore closely resembles the creature it imitates. The leonine torso has a tawny hide. The mane is a lion's black-brown color, and the bat-like wings are dark brown with sparse hair. All manticores have heads that resemble human males. The mane resembles a heavy beard and long hair. Combat. The manticore first fires a volley of 1 to 6 tail spikes. 180-yard range is a light crossbow. Each spike causes 1 to 6 points of damage. The manticore can fire 4 such volleys each day. The spikes regrow quickly. Next, the manticore closes with its prey and attacks with its front claws and sharp teeth. In an outdoor setting, the manticore tries to stay in the air to minimize its chance of being attacked. It is a clumsy flyer, however, and cannot use its teeth in the air. Habitat and society of these things. Manticores are found in any climate, but prefer warm lands to cool ones. This reflects the wide climate range of their favorite food, humans. Manticore's territory may cover 20 square miles and includes at least one human settlement. Such territories usually overlap with those of other manticores and other man-eating predators like dragons. Manticores mate for life, which is probably an aspect of their lawful evil. The male remains with the female during gestation and hunts for her. Manticores bear 1 or 2 cubs, born with 1 hit dice, and gain additional dice each year. In their first year, cubs lack flying ability, but they are still small enough for an adult to grasp in its forelegs. There's a 20% chance a she-manticore lair holds cubs under 1 year old. Cubs up to 2 years inflict 1 point of damage per front paw and 1 to 2 points with their bite. Cubs 3 to 4 years old inflict 1 to 2, 1 to 2 for their paws and 1 to 6 for their bite. Manticore cubs can be caught and trained to assist evil humans. Such training is difficult and dangerous, especially since domesticated adults have an 80% chance of reverting to a wild state. Manticores will not allow themselves to be used as mounts. Wild humans may voluntarily ally themselves with wild manticores, adult may ally themselves with evil humans, provided such allies can provide them with a steady, ample food supply. Manticores normally eat their prey where they kill it. Males sometimes haul slain prey back for their mates or drag still living prey to their lairs for the cubs to practice killing. These are charming creatures. Manticores collect their victims' valuables for a variety of reasons, including curiosity, emulation of other monsters who collect treasure, demand scent on the things, or because they know humans value the things and therefore might come looking for them. Their lack of real hands prevents most manticores from using what magical items fall into their possession. However, manticores may have allied with evil humans, and they may possess magical items designed specifically for their use. Examples include magic collars or bracelets that are in effect oversized magical rings. That's an interesting idea. I'll explore that in just a second. The ecology of the manticores, they're wide-ranging carnivores that have successfully survived in every region inhabited by humans, whether the wilderness or underground. They are nightmarish opponents, but invaluable allies if conditions are right. Manticore's pelt is a mark of the most powerful hunters and warriors. An intact, cured manticore hide complete with wings is worth 10,000 gold pieces. So this thing, for your average player group, Manticore is definitely going to be worth more dead than alive. 10,000 gold pieces if you can take this thing. The only problem is, if you puncture it with arrows, you slash it with swords, you burn it with fire, you lose the value of the hide. So really you need some kind of death spell to take this thing out and keep the hide intact, or some other way to do it. It's just kind of interesting that there's an actual treasure aspect to these things if you can take them alive. As far as the um, collars and such being used for oversized magical rings, I have used them in that way. I've given them collars protection +2 to bump their armor class down. I gave a Manticore a collar of fire resistance because I'd used them a time or two, and the players are getting used to just blast them out of the sky with a fireball. So I gave it some fire resistance. That made it a little bit more formidable. The exciting thing with Manticores is that they can come in from the air or they can be on the ground, however you want to use them. But I love the tail spike firing. 1 to 6 points, 1 to 6 tail spikes at 1d6 each can end up being pretty good damage. You're going to average something like 10 points, 12 points out of that volley. So if you do put 2 or 3 Manticores there, you're going to do about 30 to 40 points of damage to the party on an average volley. Now, interestingly, it doesn't say if they have to roll a hit with the spikes or not. I've used it both ways. I've used it where they had to roll a hit per spike, and I've also rolled it where the spikes just hit and do damage. I generally prefer at my table to do that the spikes just hit and do damage. Because the spikes are 1 to 6, I feel that that's kind of what the designers had in mind as far as not needing it to hit. You've got a variable. I have thrown a 1 and had only 1 spike fire. Generally will not require it to hit for the tail spikes. Claw Bite, of course. They need a hit for each of those. And at 10 hit dice, 6 plus 3 hit dice, and an armor class of 4, these are not going to be very formidable for a party anywhere. Once the party exceeds like 8th level, these are going to be relatively easy. The only difficulty being, of course, that they're flying and you can put in up to 4 of them, and then more if your scenario calls for it, of course. That can make them more challenging in numbers. If you're going to be putting these one-on-one and the party is somewhere around, average of 8th to 10th level, I would go ahead and I'd beef up these hit dice a little bit, crank it from 6 plus 3 to maybe 10 dice. Generally, I'll try to follow whatever the party is. So if the party is 8 to 10th level, I'll go ahead and I won't be bashful and I'll beef up the creature's hit dice to match what the players are. So I'll make the Manticore, instead of a 6 plus 3, I'll make it maybe a 9 plus 3. It's just a way to use a monster that would otherwise kind of stifle at lower levels and bring him into the higher levels. That's not something I do all the time, but it is something I do at my table periodically, depending on if I want to play Manticore or not. I am running a game tonight. In fact, as of the making of this video, I'll be running my game in a few hours. One of the reasons I chose the Manticore for today's video is I'm using Manticores in tonight's game. By the time my players know this, they'll have already encountered it. It'll be the next day. But my group that I'm playing against is about 6th to 8th level. So I'm not too worried about the Manticores overwhelming them, but on the other hand, it should be a fun encounter. So that's what I've got on Manticores today. Again, I first encountered them in Module S2, White Plume Mountain. They're quite formidable there. Once I met them there, I immediately went to Monster Manual, and actually I had a copy of the module at home, but the DM had extracted a promise from me to not look through it, and I had not. I told him I wouldn't, and I didn't. So when I got home, I immediately went through that part of the module because I wanted to see exactly what this was. And then had a new favorite monster for a little while. These can be incredibly formidable, by the way, if you want to throw them at a party that's only 4th or 5th level. I would only throw maybe 1 and have the party kind of gang tackle the thing. But you can also have them harass the party with diving strikes or just with the tail spikes. So there's a lot of ways you can use these things. These are also great monsters to have outside the lair or maybe up above in the rocks above the lair as guardians. They are low intelligence. They can respond to rewards, so it's a good way to use them. But there you have it. That's all I've got on Manticores for today. Let me know how you've used them, if you've enjoyed using this monster, and how you've done it. And I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Take a look at the Patreon. Help me out there. And let me know what other monsters might need to be featured on the channel. So continuing Monster Week, Manticore, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on page 121.